From the very beginning, I knew I was different from other kids growing up. I was incredibly shy as a kid. I had extreme difficulties interacting with people and making friends.
Really, it was more his interaction with the rest of his peer group. He found it difficult sometimes to realise when to stop talking about certain subjects that were his favourites and listen to other people. He didn't really sort of enjoy sports and things like that the other children liked.
People would pick on me based on my bizarre mannerisms and the things I said.
He did get support at nursery, but when he got the diagnosis of Asperger's, it really sort of put a stamp on the diagnosis with regard to support at school. He had a lot of help at school, and it was a bit more tailored to an autistic spectrum disorder rather than just a very vague diagnosis that he'd had before.
I first became familiar with Sonic the Hedgehog in 1999, I believe, when I was just playing with a Sonic Burger King toy in between classes at Tavistock Primary School. And that would have been the end of it had it not been in 2003 when we finally got a Skybox and the children's channel Pop were doing reruns of the old Sonic cartoons from the 90s, including The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Sat AM. I watched these series for the first time and instantly fell in love with them. I always made sure never to miss an episode. The following summer of 2004, my parents decided it was time to get a video game console because our PCs were having difficulty running newer games. And my mother ultimately settled on a PlayStation 2, and the first PlayStation 2 game I owned was Sonic Heroes. The rest after that is pretty much history. I started playing other games in the series. I got the Sonic Mega Collection Plus for PlayStation 2, which had all the classic games on the Mega Drive from the early 90s. I had a Game Boy Advance at the time, and I would start playing the Sonic Advance trilogy. My collection just built up from there. I'd buy Sonic memorabilia no matter what it was. I had all kinds of stuff. I guess what drew me to the series most was the main character's strong sense of justice and the pure heroism of his actions. If there was someone who needed help, he would risk everything to save the day. He never found saving the world a chore, and I really liked that in the character. In a way, the series helped me discover a new sense of self-expression which I never had before as a kid. As my primary school education went on, I started to talk like Sonic, act like Sonic, and even dress like Sonic. I just loved the franchise, and I made every effort to express my passion for the franchise at the time. So much so that I let my obsessions go just a little too far in a few places. At the time, I was just a kid having fun, and I always hoped that that fun would last. The transition between primary and secondary school education was, well, it kind of threw me off guard a little bit at first. When you go to secondary school, I think there's some sort of unwritten rule where you have to give up everything that you liked in primary school because of, I guess, the impression that it's too childish or it just isn't cool for these more mature students. And obviously, from the get-go, I knew I wouldn't be able to get away with, trying to play Sonic in the playground or dress up like him or anything ridiculous like that, but at the same time, it just didn't really make sense to me how I couldn't like it at all. It was considered too childish, and I had to give it up just like that. And already being a sort of weird autistic kid makes me an easy target as it is, but the Sonic element, that really made me quite an unpopular kid when I first started. I was once teased one time for bringing custom-made Yu-Gi-Oh cards based on various Sonic the Hedgehog characters, and this guy was just mocking me senseless for it, and I was getting ridiculed all the time for the things I did in primary school, my interest in Sonic still when I started secondary school. The teasings just sort of built up and up and up to the point where the only people I could really discuss it with were a small circle of friends who would go to the library with me during lunch times discussing the games, and I'd draw little pieces of concept art for my own sort of game ideas and all that. But the teasing did take its toll for the longest time. As my secondary school education went on, I became more and more reclusive. I didn't connect with people a whole lot. I didn't really discuss my interests with a lot of new people because I just feared that they were going to reject me and sort of, pick on me just because what I liked just wasn't in line with what they sort of liked. I had this sort of fear of meeting new people because of it. I first became aware of the annual Summer of Sonic convention in early 2010, I believe. And I was very interested in going that year, but at the same time I was sort of reluctant to, because I was a bit nervous around the idea of meeting whole groups of people, and I thought I would remain just as mute as I was in school at the time. But in the end I ultimately decided to go because I thought it sounded like a fun little event to go to. Crush 40, the band that contributed a lot of the songs to the series, were performing there, so that was definitely a selling point to go that particular year in 2010. I went with my mother and I had a hell of a great time. It was much less awkward than I thought it was going to be. I actually interacted with a lot of the fans there very well, as a matter of fact.
He really enjoyed going, and the first time we went, we were standing in the queue to go into the convention, and he was just talking all the time to people around him, something that he just never did before.
In the queue I met a young fan artist called Jessica Finley, and Jessica was great. We've remained good friends ever since.
I was actually in the line waiting to go in, and I had my artwork out, and Tom was actually in front of me, and he saw my art and we started talking from there, and that's kind of how we hit it off, really. My first impressions of Thomas, he seemed really nice, and he seemed a little shy to begin with, and a little nervous, but like once we started talking and stuff, he seemed like very passionate about his interests and what he was interested in and stuff like that.
It was just nice to finally have that freedom to talk about the series again after years of it being sort of an excuse for people to pick on me, and I think as a person that's helped me sort of open up with more people, even if I still occasionally feel awkward around newer people. I attended Summer of Sonic in 2012, 2013 and most recently in 2016, and as a result it did actually lead to a lot of online interactions with fans. Not too long after the 2012 convention, I started getting involved in the online Sonic community on the blogging website Tumblr, and I have met a ton of people since then, including the most important person I've ever met in my life, my loyal girlfriend Alice Atkins.
I met Thomas via Tumblr. He had his own Sonic Team blog and I followed him, and he sent me a happy Valentine's Day message. And I responded, and he said, "Do you have Skype?" And I said, "Yes." And we exchanged Skype details and started talking from there.
The following weeks after that, we were getting very, very close to one another, and I expressed my feelings to her in a very long-winded and emotional Skype message.
And I just said, "Yeah, fine, cool." That's how we became a couple, more or less.
We've been very close ever since, and needless to say, I'm very happy I met her, because I guess without her I would be in a very, very lonely position, and my life wouldn't have as much meaning without Alice Atkins. I would say overall that the series did actually help influence my life for the better, yes. With a franchise like Sonic as a passion for me, it's something I've been able to open up about.
He's found lots and lots of people that he has a lot in common with.
I've met a ton of great people, I've got a wonderful girlfriend out of it, and overall Sonic the Hedgehog, quite a great franchise.